So what's happening, YouTube? This video about Klutch Sports going at Bob Cousy, but there's a deeper meaning involved. Now, Rich Paul came out and said that if Kyrie Irving played back in Bob Cousy's days, he said, all due respect to Bob Cousy, Kyrie would handle that. And you can just kind of say that that's a back-eating diss, but is there more to it? Well, I've done investigating for years on this topic, and there was more to this because the Cincinnati Royals, Bob Cousy, who was the big-time point guard of his day and his time. Of course, you know about his success with the Celtics. He won 6 chips and everything, and he played with Bill Russell, etc. And Cousy was considered a handler for his day and his time. But when he coached the Cincinnati Royals, he had a guy who was an upstart point guard who he couldn't shake, a guy he couldn't rattle, a guy by the name of the Big O known as Oscar Robertson, a guy that Cousy took upon himself to almost bench and come out of retirement to try to show him up. A guy that he eventually had traded to the Milwaukee Bucks, who Oscar Robertson teamed up with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, then Lou Alcindor, and they won a championship together. Now, for the record, when we talk about who's the baddest point guard of the two, Oscar Robertson clears him by a country mile. Cousy had good handles and everything, but no one mentions him in the same context with Oscar Robertson. As this matter of fact, when Russell Westbrook broke the all-time triple-doubles mark in the season, etc., it was Oscar Robertson's mark. Oscar Robertson did that without a three-point line, and until he got Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he finally got over the hump in the finals to play with somebody. But remember how Oscar Robertson's numbers were so dominant, despite all the advantages that Bob Cousy had. So when I hear Rich Paul and them saying this, could they be talking in code? Now, Kyrie Irving does have great handles, and he does play a similar style to that, you know, with the ankle and the one, etc., etc. But we don't have to mention Kyrie Irving to make an example out of Bob Cousy or make your point. You could just say Oscar Robertson. You could have told the real story and the dynamics at work that were in place. For you could have just said if Oscar Robertson had an opportunity to play with Bill Russell, he'd have rings on his pinkies too, all both fingers. Could have been walking around like Liberace. I'm just saying, because that's what is hinted to what I'm getting upon digging out further and further. And there was decision. Of course, Cousy downplays it, and Oscar Robertson's always stayed classy, but he talks in code. The old school don't really reveal a lot, but you can read between the lines. He had to know that he had to feel that Cousy in some ways was trying to sabotage his career and impede on what he was doing. He had to feel that way, you know. So this thing with Klutch Sports throwing shade at Bob Cousy runs deeper